Namaste, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good luck. we, we're in Nunu land here. Nothing was working, nothing turned on. I don't even know what's going on now. What is this? Everything's different. All the computers were reset to something else. I didn't have my own in-ears. I'm using something else. What else is going on here? Crazy. Okay. Time to forget all that shit. Let's just sing. Of course, I can't hear anything. This fell. That's another thing that's happening. What a day. What a day this has been. What a grand mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. Sitaram. Okay. Pranavam Pavanakuma Kalabanapala Kagyanagan Jasuhradaga Asin Ram Sarachabha Atulita Baladham Himashela Vadeham Nurjavan Krishna Gyani Nama Gaganyam Sakalaguna Nidhana Vanaranam Adhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Oshpadi Kritavarisham Mashiki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamalaratnam Andenilatmajam Anjananandaram Viram Janaki Shokanashanam Pisamakshananta Andilanka Bankaram Langasindho Salilam Salilam Yashokaahi Janakatmaja Adaitanir Dadalankam Namamitam Pranjaliranjanayam Manojavam Marutulya Vegam Jitendriya Buddhimatam Verdashtam Atatmajan Vanardutamukhyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Anjane Matipathalana Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Taramula Vasanam Bhavayami Pavamanandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakhanjali Ashpavari Paripurna Lochana Martinamat Rakshasantakam Golovajanam Gavalyanamani Ki Jai. Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. No drums. Okay, Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Stop. No drums. Why not? Must be the wrong thing here. What's going on? There they go. What a night. Yeah. Okay. Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hare, Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hare, Jai Jai Ram, Krishna. Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hare, Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hare. Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Namah Om Ham Hanumate Om Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Namah Om Ham Hanumate 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 Namah Om Ham Hanumate 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 Namah Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Namah Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Om Ham Hanumate Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram Jai Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jai Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jai Sitaram, 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 Sitaram Jai Sitaram. 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 Sitaram, yeah, Sitaram. Oh, no water. Shri Ram, Jai Maharaj said, go on singing your lying Ram Ram, your false Ram Ram. One of these days, you'll really call out, and the real Ram will come. Another time, one of his old devotees came and said, Bala, what can I do? I don't feel any devotion. I don't feel any love. Should I do practice? Should I repeat the name? And Maharaj said, yes, go on repeating the name. Whether you feel devotion or not, whether you're angry, whether you're sad, whether you're tired, just keep repeating the name. If you don't, then what? If we don't plant the seeds, nothing will grow. We have to plant the seeds. But you know, we're so anxious. We plant a seed and we wait. Is it growing yet? Is it growing yet? No, it's not growing. Fuck it. And we go plant something else. We go do something else. You just have to have some patience, unfortunately. It isn't about what we're experiencing right now. It's not about what we experience even when we chant. You're chanting, you're simply repeating the name. You're paying attention to the name. You're hearing the sound of the name. That is planting a seed in your own heart. When that seed grows, it's not up to us, as far as we can tell. All we can do is plant the seeds. And in the meantime, try to be a good person. Try to treat people well. Try to treat people the way you would like to be treated, the way we would like to be treated. And go on cultivating our garden. And until the garden grows, we get food from Whole Foods. But once the garden grows, we don't need anything anymore. So, and this weekend we'll be at Kripalu in Stockbridge, Mass. You can join online. It's in person, but you can also join online. I don't know if it's sold out or not. And then 2 weeks after that, in New York City, October 6th and 7th, we're doing our yearly New York Urban Retreat, which kirtan on Friday night and Saturday night, workshops and chanting Hanuman Chalisa on Saturday afternoon, and again, Saturday night kirtan. And then I'm out of here pretty much, going to Australia for a short trip, only 3 places, Mullumbimby, Sydney and Melbourne, and then to Bali for a week-long retreat in Ubud, Bhakti in Bali, at Soulshine, Michael Frantis and his wife's place in Ubud. So that's good. And then later on, there'll be more stuff somewhere. Someone says, I see a picture of Yonggi Mingyur Rinpoche on your shelf. Could you speak a little bit about him? Yeah, he's really a great Lama. You know, what do we know? We only know what we know, but I love him very much. I spent quite a bit of time with him over the years. I was at a retreat with his older brother, Sokni Rinpoche. Mingyur Rinpoche, Sokni Rinpoche, Chokinima Rinpoche, and Choling Rinpoche. Choling Rinpoche left the body recently, but those 4 were the Tulku sons of the great Tulku Urgyen, the extraordinary meditation master of the previous generation. He was truly extraordinary, and there's an amazing book about him called Blazing Wisdom. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I think so. Is it? Maybe. Damn, where is it? I'm pretty sure that's it. I get it mixed up with my friend Tulku Sherdor's institution called Blazing Wisdom Institute, but I think Blazing Wisdom is the name of the book. It's an incredible book about Mingyur Rinpoche's father. Mingyur Rinpoche has written some wonderful books. One is called The Joy of Living. And then, since he explains from an early age, he was raised as a tulku, like a prince. He always had people around him helping him, and very privileged upbringing. Of course, he had to do much practice because he had much study and practice as a young reincarnated Lama. At then one point in his life, he'd always had the secret desire to wander like Milarepa had wandered, like the yogis of old wandered through the mountains with no agenda, no timeline, no time frame. Everything was opening before them. But he was really a prisoner inside of his own institution and all the people that he was responsible for. So one day he made a plan and secretly ran away, disappeared into the Indian subcontinent, and he wrote a book. He came back when the earthquake happened in Nepal. He was originally going to go for 3 years, which is a traditional retreat, 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, etc. But he stayed and stayed. But when about 4 years or more into it, there was a terrible earthquake in Nepal. And he knew that everybody would worry about him, and he was worried about others, so he went back home. Well, I don't know if he was worried about others. I should not put words into or thoughts into his mind. But he did come back after 4 years. And then eventually he wrote a book about his experiences, which is incredible. And it's called In Love with the Whole World. And it's really amazing. Great book. So he's a very wonderful teacher and Lama. He has an organization called Tergar, Tergar, and they give teachings, and he has wonderful teachers working with him and helping him and sharing the wisdom. It's extraordinary. Anybody who's serious about meditation and is at all attracted to Tibetan teachings, wonderful. Blazing Splendor. I'm sorry. The book is Blazing Splendor, not Blazing Wisdom. Like I said, my friend Tulku Sherdor, who's a Westerner who's immersed in Tibetan Dharma, has an institute called Blazing Wisdom Institute. He's also written some very interesting books. One is called A Path Strewn with Bones and Dust or something like that. It's a really great book. Tulku Sherdor, Sherdor. But he's a wonderful Western Lama. But Mingyur Rinpoche is really extraordinary. Which books about Maharaji would you recommend the most? All the books about Maharaji are really good. Starting with Miracle of Love, starting with Be Here Now, which is the first thing Ram Dass wrote about Maharaji. One day Ram Dass was in the temple. This is on his first visit. And his teacher, Haridas Baba, his yoga teacher, came and said, Maharaji has sent his blessings for your book. So Ram Dass thought, what book? All right. He had no idea, no thought of writing a book. So when he was back in America, he actually wrote a book, but nobody was interested in it. He couldn't get it published, so he just put it away and forgot about it. And he began to tour and lecture, and the lectures were recorded. And a wonderful woman named Lillian from New York, who had been a court stenographer, transcribed all the lectures and she handed them to Ram Dass. It was a pile of stuff like this, and one thing led to another. And Be Here Now came out. And it was put together up at the Lama Foundation and with beautiful artwork and stuff. And I think, yeah, it was originally a boxed set that was $3.33 or something like that. And then got picked up by a publisher and became a book. And so and then of course, Miracle of Love was Ram Dass's first collection of Maharaji's stories. It's a fantastic book. There's two books by Dada Mukherjee, who was one of Maharaji's great old devotees. One is By His Grace. All this is on my website. There's a book list on my website, a reading list, and these books are up on there. And here's a message from above. Be Here Now is the first spiritual book to sell 1 million copies. Wow, in the US, 1 million copies. Wow. So, yes, and now more recently, there are some other books. One wonderful book is called, what's it called? The Parvati's first book, Love Everyone, which is one of the things Maharaj used to say to us all the time. Love everyone. And she blackmailed and twisted our arms and threatened us until we all sent her our diaries from the old days. And she went through the diaries and she pulled stuff out and she recreated the atmosphere of really sitting there with Maharaji and Kenchi in those days. It's a wonderful book. It's really great. Love Everyone. And then she put out another book recently called Whispers in the Heart, which is experiences with Maharaji from people who never met him physically. And it's a big book. And it's quite great. Jaya Didi, who was with Siddhima for many, many, many years, has published a book about Siddhima. And that's available. I forget exactly what the title is. What's the title? Somebody write it to me. It's a really wonderful book, and it tells many stories about Siddhima. Siddhima was Maharaji's great disciple. When Maharaji left the body, Siddhima was there, and she took care of us, all the people who came. She kept the temples so spotlessly clean you could eat off the floor anywhere. Her seva was so extraordinary, beyond normal seva. She's great. So yeah. So the name of the book is Sri Siddhima, The Story of Neem Karoli Baba's Legacy. And that's by Jaya Prasad, Jaya Prasad. All these books are available somewhere. Amazon probably has most of them. There's another book that's not available in print, and it's available on my website for free. It is a download. It's a PDF, a free PDF. These books are available on my website. You can buy them from me. No, you're directed to another place. Yeah, there's a list there. We don't like to do so much business like that, but there's a list. So this other book is Miracle of Love was stories of Maharaji. This book called Divine Reality is very similar to Miracle of Love, but it's much more filled with the Indian stories, and many aspects of Maharaji are filled in and filled out in this book. It's really quite fantastic. It used to be available in India, but they stopped printing it, and so we made it available here as a free PDF. It's also an ebook, right? It's also an ebook, so if you have an e-reader, you can get it that way. There's some other books around out there that I've seen, and I don't know if they're on my list or not, but you'll come across them. Oh, yes, we do sell them. But anyway, you can get them from us or anybody else. It doesn't matter. Somebody writes here, by His grace, I have memorized the Hanuman Chalisa and nearly now all of its meaning in English when I chant it. Sometimes, however, I don't feel like mentally translating as I sing. Is it necessary to understand every verse, or is it okay to just sing and focus on bhava and devotion? That's a good question. You say you don't feel like mentally translating as I sing. So what are you saying at that point? The bhav is an interesting word, bhavana, devotion, juice, the juice of devotion. When we first sang to Maharaji, we didn't know what we were singing, other than we knew it was a prayer to Hanuman, and we believe Maharaji is Hanuman, so we knew we were singing to Hanuman. And the connection, the feeling of devotion and the connection was really powerful. The presence, the experience of being inside of that love was fantastic. So on one hand, that's very nice. That's important, very good. That's very important. Some say it's the most important. But if you know what the words mean, I understand you don't want to be in your conceptual mind thinking. Yeah, I get it, because that's not the same as feeling devotion. But on the other hand, if you've read the Ramayana, Tulsidas Ramayana, the Ramcharitmanas, and what you're singing is you're repeating these stories and these qualities of Hanuman, which can invoke that devotion and connection also. So I think there's some happy medium. I don't think you need to do one or the other. I don't think you necessarily need to do what you say is two things, because there really should be one thing. But anyhow, do what you do. It doesn't matter. Listen to your heart. Sing it the way you want to sing it. That's the best thing. Don't listen to me. What's the origin of Maharaji's five-limbed yoga? Well, the origin is we were a bunch of jerks, We didn't do any practice. We didn't do anything except wander around, drink tea, sleep, eat, and gossip. That's what we did. And so that's the origin of it. We weren't holy people. We didn't wear white clothes. We didn't do all the same things. We weren't celibate. Some of us weren't even vegetarians, probably, except in India. It was more easy to be vegetarian at that time. We probably saw ourselves as outsiders because in some ways we weren't. Other people joined these ashrams and they all wore white clothes and they looked so holy. We weren't like that. And so it became a loving joke about us, that we were only good for the five-limbed yoga. Someone writes, I think Siddhima responded to an inquiry of yours saying, it's all grace, but you have to act like it isn't. Would you please explain why we should act like it isn't? Yes, I'll try to do that. You see, that came from a conversation I was having with Ma. You see, Maharaji used to say to us, he'd look at us and he'd go, I have the keys to the mind. I could turn your minds against me. And he would laugh, ha, and no, Baba, don't do that. He would laugh and tease us, you know. I mean, can you imagine? You're there in India every day going to the temple. All of a sudden you wake up one morning and go like, what am I doing here? You know, it's football season. You go back and watch the Giants. And then you go back to America and you don't even know what happened. He took you and moved you there because he has the keys to the mind. To this day, he has the keys to the mind. So I said to Ma, Ma, if it's true, as I believe, as he said, that he has the keys to the mind, that means I'm where he wants me to be. When he wants me to be liberated, I'll be liberated. When he wants me to suffer, or I have to suffer, I'll suffer. I mean, what do I have to do with it? That's one version. So I said to her, what's the deal? If it's all his will, is my effort required? And that's when she said, it's all grace, but you have to act like it isn't. Why? Because we don't know it's all grace. And if we do think we know, it's only up here as a concept. We are not living in the awareness, in the world of grace consciously. And so we have decisions to make, things to do. So we have to do our practice. We have to take responsibility for our states of mind because that's the way it looks to us. Once surrender happens, then there's no one left to be thinking about it. It's all God's will at that point. But we're not there. So we have to make our decisions. We have to relate to people. We have to take so many things in the day into account. How do I deal with this? How's the best way to deal with this? We have to think about things, organize things. We have to really try to live our best lives. We can't just lean back and float because we haven't surrendered. We might think that's surrender. But once you're surrendered, you have no desire anymore. Once surrender has happened by grace, which is how it happens, you're no longer at all concerned with what was once looked like an ego, a separate little identity. That's no longer around. There's only openness, space, being, consciousness, bliss, love, real love. So that's why. Walking the path isn't as simple as getting a hand at a laundry list of spiritual chores from your spirit guide, as nice as that would be. It's a lot more nebulous and at times seemingly fruitless. When great darkness and suffering comes, and all the warm and fuzzy stuff goes out the window, what can one do but grit their teeth and suffer? Maybe wondering about the hidden plan behind the suffering, which isn't for us to know or may not necessarily be there. Not to be too much of a downer, but being that it's Suicide Prevention Month, I know that I and others have at times been faced with suffering that seems unbearable. When you've met with such heavy suffering after meeting your guru, how have you processed this? Is it even something that needs to be processed, or you just ride past it until you can eventually look back and make sense of it? It's not all cookies and patty cake after he takes you under his blanket, huh? We've all got our stuff to deal with in this life. Yeah. There's no end to suffering. in this world as we are. Most of us are fighting our way through the day. We're not in the states of consciousness we want to be. We're not happy. We're filled with anxiety and fear and longing that's unrequited. We don't know how to connect with people. There's so much fear and anxiety and anxiousness and paranoia in relationships. We're so hungry for stuff that we don't have. Our moods and emotions overwhelm us day after day after day after day after day. And that's not just you or me, that's everybody. We are all puppets. We are all in reaction mode. We are not voting. We are being pushed around by our own stuff all the time. However, even while that's 99% true, you ask this question. Who asked that question? The person that asked that question is not at that moment under the influence, so to speak. Or maybe just slightly hungover from the suffering and no longer in the middle of it. And yet, you know that there will be bad moments, painful moments that arise in the future, probably. That's why we do practice when we can. Yeah, you say when the warm and fuzzy stuff goes out, fuck the warm and fuzzy stuff. That's not spiritual. That's not love. That's warm and fuzzy stuff. It comes and goes. Love doesn't come and go. Love is who you are. Your love is who I am. We don't know that fully at this point. But don't try to hang on to the warm and fuzzy stuff. You can't hang on to anything. Everything comes and goes. So, as you learn to not cling to the positive states, so the negative states also, you may not cling. Clinging is positive and clinging is negative. Negative clinging is trying to push it away, trying to protect yourself. That's getting it stuck to your hand like this. Trying to hold on to it is getting stuck to your hand like this. You can't really do either. Surrender is the goal and the path. And surrender happens by grace. And we purify our hearts and we wait for grace. We wait for that moment of waking up. You can call it whatever you want. But that constant evaluator that gives us, and judger that gives us such a hard time all the time, those are programs that are running, that we've absorbed, that we came into this life and put on the clothes of all those programs. We have to take those clothes off, little by little. We have to free ourselves from all those things that we believe about ourselves that are not true. They are just simply not true. They seem real, but they are not true. You feel like a piece of shit, and that's a true feeling at that moment, but really, you are not a piece of shit. That's a feeling that you're identified with. You're glued to it because of habitual negative thinking, programs that are running. Sometimes that negative thinking forces people to commit suicide because they have no understanding of how to deal with those things. Or there's just too much, and they think they can end it that way, which is probably not true. So there's no sense just gritting your teeth. Loosen up, allow the suffering to come and allow it to go. Gritting your teeth is not going to protect you. Shutting down is not going to protect us. Difficult shit happens. It happens to you, it happens to me, it happens to everyone. That's the way this world is. We're born and we die. And in between, it ain't a piece of cake. There's always suffering. No matter how rich or poor, high or low, there's suffering. Until we find out what and who we really are. So once you're more firm on the path and less identified with trying to hold on to the warm and fuzzy stuff and push away the negative stuff, when you're more firm on the path, those two opposites have less effect on you as time goes on. So yes, you have to keep on planting the seeds of the fruits that you want. If we don't plant the seeds, how can things grow? So seeds are, planting seeds doesn't mean sitting necessarily, sitting Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram and planting a seed, Shri Ram Jai Ram. Acting for others, thinking about others, helping others, that's planting seeds. Feeding others is taking care of others. Treating others the way you would like to be treated, that's planting seeds, because every action is a seed that we plant. What's the motivation for those actions? If it's me, 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 you get more me, me. And wherever there's me, there's suffering. There's highs and lows, ups and downs, in and outs, bliss and pain, joy and pain. Bliss is something else. Bliss doesn't come and go. Where there's no me, there's love, kindness, compassion, freedom and space and presence. You're here. You're completely here now. It's not some void, some emptiness. It's empty of everything stupid. Now there's a Buddhist definition for you. It's empty of everything that doesn't come and go. What's here is always here, but it's beyond. It's not. It's beyond me. The I, the true self, the sense of being, which Ramana Maharshi talks about, the self, that is not different than the void. It's not different. It's the absence of delusion. And that means freedom. That means knowing, awareness, being, bliss, joy, truth. Those qualities are within us always, because that's what's in there. So the more we dedicate and believe and get faith in the path and the teachings, the easier it is to navigate the big waves of pain that arise and suffering that arise, because they will arise. What's my opinion between belief and blind faith? Well, it's could be semantics, but let's put it this way. Blind faith is taking somebody else's word for what's true, but not having realized it yourself. So your own actions are still based around the egocentric version of self, the me, me, me. So even though you say, I believe in God, if God doesn't treat you very well in your eyes, you won't believe anymore. You don't have the experience. Belief or real faith comes from your own experience. Your own experience. No one can give it to you. The great beings can part the clouds maybe for a minute so you get a glimpse, but you can't stay. You have to find your way back there by yourself through your own karmas and your own actions. Blind faith is not helpful. It's avoidance. It makes you shut down and you only believe this. And this is true, but nothing else is true. That's not true. That saint is not a saint. That guru is not a guru. This person, only my path is real. That's blind faith. Something like that. Or you can say everything's great, and then you get run over by a car and you're not very happy. Real faith comes by grace, by surrender, which happens by grace. It means living in reality. There's no guesswork anymore. Nobody has to tell you anything. There's knowing. And that's where we're all going. Maharaji didn't teach with words that much, but he was always transmitting the truth, the love, and ripening those of us who are connected to him, not necessarily just those who were there this life. There's many lives, and if we're thinking about him, we must know him somehow. There's just no other explanation. Since he said, when you think of me, I am there. He said that. In the same way it says in the Hanuman Ashtak, come on, the last line. Where is it? If I don't sing the whole thing, I can't remember a line. Yatra yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamustakanjalim. Wherever Ram's name is sung or spoken, Hanumanji goes there. Does that mean that if you look around, you're going to see a little monkey up in the tree? No, because Hanuman's not a monkey. Hanuman is the life force. Hanuman is the breath of God, the breath of Ram, Maharaji said. And where the name is, there is the breath. There is the breath of God. There is the connection. I can never sing this without the words. Whenever I try to sing it, I forget it. But we'll try. निश्चय प्रेम प्रतीत थे विनायक करे सन्मान के कार्य सकल शुभ सिद्ध करे हनुमान सिद्ध करे हनुमान जय हनुमंत संत हितकारी सुन लीजिए प्रभु अर्ज हमारी जन के काज विलंब न कीजिए आतुर दौड़ महासिक लीजिए जैसे कूदी सिंधु वही पार सुरसा बदन पेत विस्तार आगे जाई लंकिनी रोका मरे हुलात गाई सुरता जय विभीषण को सुख दीन्हा सीता निरखी परम पद लीना बाग उजाड़ सिंधु मही बोर अति आतुर मकातुर तो रक्षा कुमार सनार रूमल पैत लंक को चार लाल समान लंक जड़ गई जय जय दूर सुर पूर्ण अब विलंब के कारण स्वामी कृपा करो अंतर्यामी जय जय लखन प्राण के दाता आतुर हो दुख करुण पाता जय गिरिधर जय जय सुख सागर सूर समूह समरथ बतनागर ओम हनु 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 हनुमंत हतीले तेरी मार वज्र के कीले गदा वज्र ले बेरी मारो महाराज प्रभुदास उबारो ओंकार हुंका महावीर दाव वज्र गदा विलंबन लाओ ओम ह्रीं 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 हनुमंत कपीस ओम हुं 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 हरुड़े शीश सत्य हो हर शपथ पाए के राम दूत दरमार जाए के जय 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 हनुमंत अगाध दुख पवत जन के अपराधा पूजा जपत पनेम अचार नहीं जानत हो दास तुम बन उपबन मग गिर गह माही तुम्हारे बलम दरपत नाही ताम परो कर जोड़ी मनाओ यही अवसर अब के गोहराओ जय अंजन कुमार बलवंत शंकर सुवन वीर हनुमंत बदन कराल काल कुल गाल कराम सहाय सदा प्रतिपालक भूत प्रेत पिशाच निशाचर अग्नि वैथल कार मलीमर इन्हें मारुतो शपथ राम की रघुनाथ मोरे आद नाम की जनक सुता हरिदास कहावो ताकि शपथ विलंब न लाओ Jai 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 Duni Hot Akasha, Sumirat Hoy Dusa Dukanasha. Charan Sharan Kar Jori Manao, Yahi Avasara Beke Goharam, Utu Cholo Toy Ram Dohai, Pain Paro Kar Jori Manao. Om Cham 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 Chapala Chalanta, Om Hanu 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 Hanumanta, Om Hang 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 Kadet Kapi Chanchal, Om Sam Sam Sahami Parane Kalada. Apne Jan Ko Turt Ubaro, Sumirat Hoy Anand Hamaro, Yahi Bajranga Ban Jai Mare, Tai Ko Pirakon Ubare. At Kare Bajranga Ban Ki, Hanumat Raksha Kare Pran Ki, Yah Bajranga Ban Jo Mar Jo Ban Jo Jape, Te Te Bhut Pret Sapakampe, Dup De Aru Jape Hamisha, Take Tan Nahi Rahe Kalesha, Prema Pratitihi Kapi Baje, Sada Dare Urdhyan. Teke Karja Sakla Shubh, Siddha Kare Hanuman, Siddha Kare Hanuman, Siddha Kare Hanuman. Jaya Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Sankatamochan Kripanidhan. Jai Bajranga Bali Hanuman, Karuna Sagar Kripanidhan. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman, Sankatamochan Kripanidhan. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Baba Hanuman. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raja Nichana Mukuru Sudari Varno Raghubhara Bimala Jasu Chodaya Kupalachari Buddhihin Tanu Janke Smiram Bhavana Kumar Balabuddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Arukale Sambhika Syavara Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharanam Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Saga Jaya Kapi Sati Loka Ujak Ramadutta Tulita Baladam Panchani Bhuta Pavan Sukam Mahavira Vikram Bajrangi Kumati Nivar Sumati Kesan Kanchana Varana Viraja Subesa Kana Kundala Kunchita Kesa Atbajula Dvaja Biraje Kande Mujajani Usaja Shankara Suvan Kesari Nandan Teja Pratapa Mahajagabanda Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatu Ramkaja Karibe Koatu Prabhu Charit Suni Beko Rasiya Ramalakana Sita Manabase Marupa Daris Yahindikava Katarupa Daralankajarava Himarupa Dari Asura Sahari Ramachandra Ke Kata Samari Sajivana Lakana Jiyaya Shri Raghuveera Shiralai Raghupati Kinhi Bahut Barai Mama Priya Bhartai Samabhai Sahasrabadan Tumaro Jasa Gaon Askai Shri Pati Khanta Lagaon Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Arad Sharad Saitaira Yamukuber Digapala Jahan Kabiko Bidakahi Sake Kahant Upakar Sugriva Inkinha Ramamilaya Rajapadadin Maro Mantra Vibhishanamana Lankeshwara Vai Sab Jagajana Sahasra Jojan Paravanu Hiryotai Madura Palajana Mudrika Nilimukamai Chaladilangi Gaya Charajanai Durgamakaja Jagat Kejeta Nugra Tumare Teta Ram Duare Tumara Kovare Otnakya Dinu Pesar Sab Suklahe Tumhari Sharana Tumara Chakakaru Kodharana Apana Teja Samaro Ape Imo Lokaham Gatengam Uttaptisashana Katane Awe Mahavira Javanam Suna Aseroga Hare Sab Pira Japata Nirantara Hanumat Veera Sankatate Hanuman Churave Manakrama Bachana Dhamma Jolave Sab Paranama Tapasvi Raja Ekada Sakala Tumasari Or Manoratha Joko Elave Sove Amita Jivan Palapave Aran Yuga Paratapa Tumara Hai Parasi Tanaya Sankattaharana Mangalamurti Rup Siyaram Rama Lakshmana Sita Sahita Hriday Basa Surabhu Siyavara Ramachandra Padajeshwaram Mangalamurti Artanandana Sakala Mangala Muranekanda Mangalamurti Marutananda Sakala Mangala Muranekanda Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Lakshman Janki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki Ram Lakshman Janki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 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 Namaste. Take good care. See you soon.